I I always had a really good relationship with Putin because I respected his intelligence. He's really smart. And I respected the fact that if you were respectful with him, he would tell you what he was going to do.
Mr. President, you mentioned amongst one of the three things Putin. And of course, Putin came into office right towards the end of your presidency, but
He
you met him,
did.
right? You met him when he was
I did. We
you were
had 10
president,
months
he was
together.
president. Yeah. Give us a sense of this man. What's your sense of his character? What's your sense of what he's going to do next? And how important is Ukraine in all of this?
Well, briefly, we worked together for 10 months. We had a good relationship. I tried not to fight with him in public. I tried to work things out because I knew that Yeltsin got out because he wanted to be succeeded by someone that he thought had more energy and more physical strength because he was fading pretty badly. And who thought he would protect his family from the rough politics of, Russia internally. I understood all that. But I also could see that Putin, thought Yeltsin had worked too closely with the West and that they needed to take a harder line. And I think he thought that because he thought it, but I also think he believed that Russia needed to be a bigger player on the world stage. And to do that, they'd have to be tougher and a little more ruthless. And I remember when I saw Yeltsin not long before he died, I went down to his place in the country and we had a long visit. And I could tell he was beginning to worry because Yeltsin did not like communism and basically did not like authoritarianism. So he wanted Putin to be a strong leader, but he got a little more than he asked for. And it was all perfectly understandable. But still, Putin was, performed quite well in his first term. And then he switched out, you'll remember, and became prime minister. And Mr. Medvedev became president. And then they switched back. But I think something really fundamental happened once Russia became basically almost a kleptocracy. And even more important, once President Putin decided to stay for life. Because once you decide to stay for life, if you live in a system where you can do it, it changes everything because you care most about weakening any potential opposition. And that's my take on it. But I always had a really good relationship with Putin because I respected his intelligence. He's really smart. And I respected the fact that if you were respectful with him, he would tell you what he was going to do. I mean, my last meeting with him was a long time ago. Official meeting was 2010. We only see each other at funerals now. But I met with him in 2010. And I was talking to him about Ukraine. He said, I know what you're going to say. I know you made a deal with Boris Nikolaevich to protect the territorial integrity of Ukraine in return for Ukraine giving up their nuclear weapons and putting them under supervision of the international authority, but within Russia. But he said, let me remind you, he never got the Duma to ratify that agreement. So it does not have a force of treaty. And I do not agree with it. And I will not observe it. I mean, basically said in 2010, 4 full years before he took Crimea, that he was coming after Ukraine. And I dutifully reported it to the government. And went on with my business. But that's where we are. He's a formidable person, but as you see, there are limits to what he can do. His obsession with Ukraine didn't leave him many cards to play with this surprising development in Syria. And he'd always been active there, and he wanted to be. So that's kind of where I think we are.